Welcome to Football or Soccer, the podcast. I'm Sam Palmer, and today we have a special guest because Tony is off sunning himself in Mexico. We have got Sam Collins, Chelsea fan here.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Sam. Thank you for having me.
You're a substitute, so we thought it would be best to get you on because Tony slagged off Chelsea last week and Chelsea fans, so I thought this would be the best one to have on.
I know. We need to put him back in his place and make him realise who the best fans are rather than the Liverpool fans.
And I'm glad we haven't got Tony here this week because he would have been unbearable.
Yes.
Because Liverpool are now 8 points clear, is it?
Yeah, another big victory for them this weekend. They've done very well.
Yeah, they seem to keep picking it up. It looked like at one point they were going to slip up. It was 1-1 at one point.
They were 2-1 down.
2-1 down, sorry. Yeah, 2-1 down, wasn't it? Yeah.
They were 2-1 down. I think they said yesterday, I was watching on Match of the Day, they said that the team at the top of the Premier League have not lost to the team at the bottom of the Premier League for, I think, 15 years.
Really?
So if they had done that yesterday, if Southampton had beaten Liverpool yesterday, that would have been a pretty mean feat of theirs.
They keep just going on and on and on, don't they, Liverpool?
They do. They look very good. Arne Slot, good manager, got some good tactics. They play some great football. They're scoring good goals, even with some of the injuries they've been picking up. They've been doing pretty well. But Mo Salah, what are they going to do about him?
Yeah, today it's come out that an interview surfaced that Mo Salah has basically said he's more out than in. Didn't look happy about it either, did he?
No, which is just crazy because apparently he as well, he went to, after the match when they do all the press conferences and the talks and obviously the kind of the post-match stuff, he sought out a number of journalists to talk to them about it, which is like...
Oh, really?
Yeah, so from his point of view, he must just be thinking like, what the hell is going on? We're a third of the way through the season now.
Yeah.
We've got a great title charge going on. We're 8 points clear. The distractions that are going to come with that, now the fans are going to be talking about it. It's going to be putting pressure on John Henry and the other owners. I think it's madness. I think it's absolute madness. They should have tied him down to a new contract at the beginning of the season. Same with Trent, same with Virgil. Those two aren't even being talked about, and those two, their contracts expire at the end of the year too.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild what's going on.
Because it's going to be big for them to replace them. Like
Massive.
Trent, I think, look, apparently they've offered Trent a contract and make him the highest paid player. So that I think that one they could replace Trent.
Well, they've got Conor Bradley, who's a decent right back.
Yeah.
He is good, but I wouldn't say he's Trent level. But Trent, I could see him potentially going to Real Madrid because Carvajal's getting on a bit. He's, I think, 33 now, maybe even knocking on 34. And you've got Bellingham there, you've got Mbappe there now, you've got a lot of the young players.
If you're him, you've got to think.
Correct.
You've got, this is my chance. I'm going to go to Real Madrid. To go to Real Madrid must be the most.
And apparently he's very close with Jude Bellingham as well, which is, he's probably got Bellingham in his ear the whole time saying, come here, we're doing this, we're doing that. And yeah, if you've got a right-back slot opening up at Real Madrid and you're Trent Alexander-Arnold, it's almost a no-brainer.
Do you think Salah, I was thinking about this the other day, do you think Salah's a bit underrated?
Do you know what? Someone said this to me the other day. Someone said, do I think Salah is world class? And I said, absolutely, I think Salah's world class. He's a game changer. He's a big game goal scorer. You look at the amount of times that he's put the ball in the back of the net against City when it was that whole Liverpool-City rivalry.
And he's not a striker. No. He's a right winger.
Essentially, yeah. You look at the goals he scored. I think he's over 200 or nearly 250 goals for Liverpool now, which is insane. And
he's the highest ever goal scorer now, isn't he?
Or one of them, I think. Yeah.
Maybe Premiership. I don't know.
Well, no, he broke Robbie Fowler's record recently. I know he did that. So that was a good feat. But when you look at him when he was at Chelsea, he didn't do anything there. I think the best thing that Salah ever did in a Chelsea shirt was score the 6th goal against Arsenal when we pumped them 6-0 back in I think 2013 or whatever it was. But he didn't look up for it at Chelsea. He had pace. He was almost like a Mudryk at Chelsea. He had pace.
Yeah.
And he was on the wing and scored the odd good goal here and there.
And he definitely beefed up, didn't he?
He's like a machine.
See him when he took his shirt off this week?
Yeah.
Unbelievable, his body, wasn't it?
I know, literally. I was like, I'm never taking my shirt off again after I saw that. He's in proper nick. Although, I'll tell you what, it does annoy me, though, when players do take their shirt off during a celebration. Why get the booking?
I know what
Why do it?
I hate the fact that you get a booking for taking it off. Because I actually it's quite good, the emotion, but you are silly because the you get booked. It's an instant booking.
Of course
and you
it
get
is.
sent off now for it.
But not only that, it's just like, let's say you start accumulating the bookings over the season.
You miss games.
Salah could miss a massive game now, all because he took his shirt off when they went 3-2 up.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I just wish they'd get rid of that booking. And actually have it back where you can take your shirt off. But you know, last night I actually saw one of the reasons why Diego Forlan for Manchester United took his shirt off, and this was when they were looking at it.
Yeah.
Because they said it was actually wasting time.
Okay.
So there's this clip of Diego Forlan, and he takes his shirt off, but he doesn't get it back on, and they restart the game, and he tracks down the line with the shirt in the hand and makes a tackle. He's got no shirt on.
No way. Okay,
So and then he has to go off the pitch, and then he can't get it on. So then they help him put it on, and then he goes back on.
That's amazing.
I'd never seen that before, but it was quite funny.
He was a player at Man United. I remember when he first joined, it took him like 20 odd games to score, and
He never did it at United, really.
No.
He scored a few big goals, but he then went off to, was it
Atletico Madrid, and he smashed it.
Yeah.
And then became one of their like main men for years.
And Uruguay as well. So he was, but he never really done it at Manchester United, did he?
No, he didn't. He didn't.
But Liverpool, as I say, they're charging through, 8 points clear.
Yeah.
Can you see them not winning it?
Well, next weekend they play City.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a huge game at Anfield. I mean, can we see City losing 6 in a row? I mean, 5 weeks ago, would we have sat here and said we could see City losing 5 in a row? Absolutely not.
No.
I mean, the odds that you would have got on Man City losing
I don't reckon anyone even put that bet on.
Not a prayer. Not a prayer. But I mean, like, the odds on, like, imagine an accumulator of City losing all those games in a row. Like, it'd be like 1,000,000 to 1 or something like that.
Probably more.
Like, insane. Because, like,
it's and I've seen Pep this. So big news this week.
Yes.
Pep's extended the contract.
He has indeed.
And it's funny, he always extends it in that November break, in that break. And
Yeah.
I suppose they wanted it to then. I suppose it puts it to bed. Mm-hmm. He's staying for a year, and I think he's got a year. There's an added year in there if he wants it as well. Yeah. It looks like they're in need of. Obviously, then the news is they go to the game against Spurs and get absolutely walloped.
Annihilated, I think, is the term. I mean, I was shocked, but again, football, as we all know, is a tale of taking your chances.
Yeah.
If Erling Haaland had put 2 of those chances away at the beginning of the game,
2-0, yeah,
it could have been a very different story. But what I think City's issue is now is because I think they're so fragile, and I've seen this before with Chelsea teams in the past, where you let one goal in. Even if you've scored the first goal, even if you're 2-0 up and you concede one, the fragility of the defence, the back five, the holding midfielders, it just completely crumbles. And then, as we saw with City's midfield, they were just totally non-existent.
Yeah, but they didn't have Kovacic this week, did they? So they haven't got Rod. I think everyone's given the excuse of that. Well, Rodri's such a big influence. I think he's bigger than Rodri, actually.
It is. Now it is, yeah. Because, I mean, but to be fair to City, they have been decimated by injuries. I mean, you look at Kevin De Bruyne. He's
a bit part player now.
He's 33 years old. He cannot do it. And you can't rely on Kevin De Bruyne every week to...
But that's where they've got Phil Foden. But Phil Foden's not playing in the same position. I saw Pep come out and say that. Well, I've got attacking midfielders playing and holding midfield roles. He said, unfortunately, we've had to do that. The games are coming thick and fast. And I think, look, Haaland, as I say, it's weird. It's weird. When Haaland misses chances, we go, he's on a bit of a blip.
Yeah.
Like the man scored a hat-trick in the week, I think, for
Norway.
For Norway.
Yeah.
Again.
They were playing...
his 25th hat-trick.
Yeah, I mean, they were playing Kazakhstan, though, to be fair. So, I mean, in that sense, I mean, you kind of almost would have expected him to. But, you are right. I mean, people say Haaland will score 2 goals in 5 or 6 Premier League games, and they'll say he's completely out of form. But then you look at the beginning of the season, he scored 12 goals in the first 7 or whatever it was. So,
but I think he's now scoring, like last year, like Rodri, for example, scored 9 goals last year. I think 8 of them were in the Premier League. So they're losing goals from in their team.
And big goals. He was a big goal. He was a massive goal scorer.
I think he's 56% there, and that might be wrong, but I'm sure it's 56% of their goals has come from Haaland this year, which is actually, they're not sharing the goals like they did last year. But they've had Doku out. They've had To be honest with you, Savinho has surprised me because on the first game of the season they played this year, I actually went, this guy could be the signing of signings.
Yeah, he looked unbelievable.
And he's tailed off a little bit. Again, maybe he needs a bit of time with the Premiership and
I was
going to
say, do you know what it is? It's settling in.
Team's not playing well.
It's settling in and it's like he's moved there and you're coming into English winter and I mean...
and Pep system.
System.
People take time to learn.
But, I mean, he did look fantastic in the first couple of games. No question about it. Will he get back on form? I would like to think so. I think he's still young. I think he's only 25 or 26. But City are definitely they're in a conundrum right now because they, as I said, they're not used to losing. To lose 5 in a row is pretty insane. I mean, look at Steve Cooper at Leicester. Like he's just been given the bullet after 12 games. Well,
they're definitely not going to be giving Pep the bullet. I think something that probably, and I think Pep's gone on about it a little bit this week. You can't just keep winning. I think we've got so used to the City. Look, they've won 6 out of the last 7. You can't just. You've got to get yourself. And I've heard Gary Neville talk about it. You've got to get yourself back up for it after you won the treble, after you won the doubles. Yeah. They've won 2 doubles, a treble. They've kind of done all these things.
Yeah.
You probably do lose a bit of hunger.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
And obviously, playing at that intensity that they play at, you get tired.
Without a doubt.
Leggy. We've seen it with some of the Klopp teams. We've seen it with Leeds, with under Bielsa.
Yeah.
They played that murder ball way they played. They get burnt out after a couple of years.
Yeah.
Injuries start picking up, and it's how you pick them back up. But I think City look like they probably need. I think panic stations come in and go, they need a major overhaul. It's not that, but they probably need a bit of an injection. Maybe some of that team, a bit like Fergie, used to move big players on.
Yeah.
Maybe they need that again to shake it up. I was quite surprised that Grealish stayed there this season.
Yeah, I mean, he was...
I think
they still probably want to get some of his price tag out of him. They paid 100 mil for him.
I know.
I will say that for me, though, the mistake that, in my opinion, that City made this year was even though they got a huge number for him, letting Alvarez go.
Because they've got no one to come on. They have, and Cole Palmer, obviously, they've let go as well.
Correct. Well, they didn't know about Cole Palmer.
No,
I mean, no one knew what Cole Palmer was going to be because they thought we've got Phil Foden. And he, to be fair to him, last year, he was the man. He was the player of the season. But, I mean, when you're talking about City, just like...
Who is that City's backup striker?
It was that Oscar Bob. But he broke his leg in pre-season training. Yeah. I think
so they've got no backup striker whatsoever?
No. I think they had...
so they played a false 9 if Haaland's not playing?
Yeah, I think so.
And let's remember, they actually won the league with a false 9. There was Sterling up top.
Gabriel Jesus, that was when they had him, when he was useless at them. But they... what was I going to say? Yeah, no, Alvarez, I think, was... Even though I don't think he's not set Atletico Madrid on fire... He was a good player in the Premiership. He
scored a lot of goals.
He scored a lot of goals. He was easily a 10 to 15 Premier League goal scorer every season. And for them not to have that now, and for them to lose Rodri, for them to lose Diaz as well.
A lot of their centre-halves.
It's just like, they've... I mean, when you look at their centre-back pairings, it's like, although they've got quality players, like you look at Ake, you look at Akanji, you look at Diaz, you look at Gvardiol.
Stones went... Did he take... Because the Stones went off, I think, at half-time. Did he get taken off?
I just don't think he's fit. He's one of those players right now where he just can't play 90 minutes a week. I mean, it's like when you look at someone like Reece James or Wesley Fofana, like they are being so carefully managed because of all their previous injuries that... There's just no point putting them there for the whole 90 minutes because you just know that once you kind of get past that 60-minute point on their body, they're going to start to go. Yeah,
it was... I've got to say, when I was watching it, I remember I was texting a group actually, and I said, Tottenham are lucky to be still in this. And then I actually went and jumped in the shower because I was in Vegas at the weekend. So I went and jumped in the shower, come back out, and it was 1-0, and I went, how the hell did that happen? Like that. And then all of a sudden, as I was watching it, it's 2-0, and I was like... Holy, I couldn't believe it.
And that's the fragility of City, because as I said, if you don't take your chances at the beginning of a game like that, and when Haaland... I mean, there were good saves, to be fair, from Vicario. I think one of them he might have put wide, but the other one was a good save.
I've got to say, Vicario, because I think Vicario, like your keeper, Sanchez, the worst keepers out there at the minute, in a top team.
And Sanchez...
We'll come to him in a minute, but Vicario, I've got to say, he made some amazing. I think Vicario is a good shot.
I don't mind him. I would, if you ask me to take Vicario or Sanchez, I would take Vicario 100 times.
See, I've watched Tottenham a lot, and I can't.
Yeah.
Vicario can't do the most fundamental thing and catch a ball. He cannot catch a ball from across.
Really?
And it gives the ball away. He's a great shot stopper, and I think when we see highlight reels of him, you see them saves. Like, he made some really good saves.
It can be like a YouTube goalkeeper where you just see like a 5-minute reel of.
He cannot catch a ball. Yeah. He's honestly, he literally. Tottenham concede so many from set pieces. They put a guy on him. He flaps at everything, and I think where is like goalkeeping gone? That is not. That should be the number one thing that you're good at is catching balls.
Yeah, no.
Now it's more about if you can pass.
Correct, with the feet and do that, and yeah, no, that makes sense. But the one difference I would say between Vicario and Sanchez is at least the Tottenham defence aren't panicked by him.
Yeah,
and you can just see the panic in the Chelsea players' faces with that Robert Sanchez. I mean, did you see the penalty that Ayew scored on the week?
Yeah,
pathetic. I would have saved that.
He got a hand to it as well, didn't
he? He is the most infuriating keeper, I think.
Did he come from Brighton?
It was the biggest way. I would drive him back to Brighton tomorrow.
What? How much did they give for him?
25 million they paid for him,
which isn't in the grand scheme of things wasn't horrendous, but. Like, considering Chelsea spent so much money on other players.
Oh my God, like when you just think about them, even goalkeepers, like we spent 72 million on Kepa and he's now the Bournemouth goalkeeper. He cannot catch a ball.
No.
He is
He was at Real Madrid last year, wasn't he?
I mean, talk about a fall from grace from like being in the Champions League final to like playing at Bournemouth. I mean, no disrespect to Bournemouth.
He came up for the corner at the end. Did you see the corner at the end where the geezer
and
Semedo hit the bar?
Smashed the bar. I mean, that would have been
I love it when keepers come up for corners.
Yeah, so do I.
It's unbelievable.
But it was like, do you remember when Alisson scored for Liverpool against West Brom that time in COVID, and like, they all went absolutely mental over it.
Peter Schmeichel scored a few, hasn't he, before?
Yeah. I remember Asmir Begovic scored against Tottenham, I think, wasn't it? Because of the wind made the ball fly in one of those
Was that
days.
the one where he kicked it length of the pitch?
Yeah, and it bounced over.
Yeah, was it Begovic, was it?
It was Begovic, but I think he did it... No, sorry, it was Paul Robinson that scored.
Robinson scored.
He did that once, and then Begovic did it.
Gomez, was it? For Watford?
It might, yes. I think he did that over Gomez, but then I think when Begovic scored, I think it was maybe over Brad Guzan. If you remember him back in the day.
Do remember? He plays. So my friend Derek plays for Atlanta.
Okay.
And Brad Guzan is the goalie there. You should have seen him.
He's about 50 now.
Yeah, and you should have seen him the other week against Inter Miami.
Okay.
I said Real Madrid will probably be on the phone to him. He was unbelievable. He saved everything.
They beat them?
They beat them. And then the worst thing, so if you follow the podcast, you know I've been following Atlanta United in MLS. They lost yesterday in their semi-final to Orlando, which was bad news for my friend Derek, have you met Derek?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Derek done this tackle in the second half.
Okay.
I messaged him after. I said, I'm surprised you haven't been arrested for assault. How he never got a red card for this tackle.
Really?
He went, was it bad? He said, I didn't think it was that bad. I said, you decapitated him. Like, he literally cut him in half and he got a booking for it. For me, I'm his mate, but he should have been. But I'm glad actually that even though I wanted Atlanta to go through, I'm glad because now Derek's coming over here on Wednesday, so we get to see him. So
there you go.
I'm glad, like him and his family, they're coming over. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them.
So where did he leave Washington? Was he at Washington before?
He was at Washington. Went to Atlanta this year. But I've got to say, Derek's Derek suffered from injuries a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's been actually absolutely great. Like the games I've watched him, he's been brilliant. And he's very composed on the ball. Left-footed centre back. They were dealt a bit of a blow yesterday because their two main strikers got injured.
Before the game?
Yeah, I only turned it on after about 15 minutes, so I didn't see if they went off or before the game, but they got injured, so they had no firepower.
Who else have they got at Atlanta? Do they?
No one, not I know.
No,
there's a guy called Xande Silva who used to play for West Ham. He never made it at West Ham, then he went on, he's Portuguese, but...
Was that when Newcastle bought Miggy Almiron from?
Atlanta. It was when I was on the MLS.
I wonder if
he still there, Miggy Almiron?
He is, yeah, but I don't think he plays. I think he had that like 15-game wonder where we all thought he was going to be the next big thing, but then he just went completely off the board, didn't he?
Yeah, what was I saying? So I just want to go back. So actually, because I don't want to say this, and neither do you, but compliments must go to Tottenham for the Man City game.
I know.
Because Tottenham didn't have their two centre-halves playing either.
No,
They had Dragusin and Ben Davis. And that Dragusin is not...
It's terrible.
But they played very well.
They did. Ben Davis had the game of his life at
They also never had their top scorer playing, Brennan Johnson. I know he come on and scored,
but I think that was more tactical, because when I was listening to them talk afterwards, he said that he wanted to put Son and Kulusevski on the width to draw Man City's fullbacks out.
Yeah.
And then that would allow the central midfield to bomb through. And to be fair to Big Ange, he got his... I
like Ange.
So do I.
Because I've got to say,
he just says it how it is.
He says it how it is,
yeah.
But also he wants to win. And and do you know what I hate that when managers, they give this bog standard press conference of like, oh yeah, and it's like they rehearsed it. It's kind of, they don't say anything really without saying.
No.
But he does say it, and he's not afraid to say, I want to win. And I remember last year. Do you remember when they lost to City and obviously they stopped Arsenal winning the league, and all the Spurs fans were, and Ange said there's a bigger problem at this club than I actually thought. I actually thought I liked that, because he's saying like, well, I don't want to come here and lose to City.
That was when the Tottenham fans were cheering at the end of the game, weren't they?
And he said that's the mentality here, that we've got to change.
Yeah.
And I agree with that, because he's a winner. Mm-hmm. So I like Ange. I was glad. I was actually, let's say, I hate Tottenham. You hate Tottenham. And now we have to put up with more delusion from the Tottenham fans that they're gonna be winning the league again.
Do you know what I would say? I actually hate Arsenal more than I hate Tottenham.
Oh, I don't. See, you hate Arsenal, but I actually quite like Arsenal.
For me, I can't. I mean, I would never, ever say I have a soft spot for Tottenham, but if I had to choose Arsenal or Tottenham winning, I would choose Tottenham winning any day of the week.
Really? See, I'm the other way. I'd always choose Arsenal.
I put up with 20 years of just abuse from Arsenal fans. Growing up as a kid, invincible this, invincible that, and what have they done since? Absolutely nothing, apart from a few FA Cups.
Yeah.
But yeah, now even just the last couple of seasons, they are the serial runners-up, which I'm quite happy to see.
Biggest bottlers in the Premier League. Biggest bottlers in Premier League history.
Biggest bottlers in the Premier League history. And the funny thing is like, you look at Eric Ten Hag getting the bullet from his job. 2 FA Cups. Mikel Arteta's got 1 in 5 years.
See, I think Spurs fans, they get the Spursy and all this.
Yeah,
But I think Arsenal get away with it.
Completely get away with it. I mean, Arsenal, they
are the biggest bottlers.
Arsenal call themselves the biggest club in London. I mean, there's only one team in London with not 1 but 2 European Cups, and that is a blue team called Chelsea. Let me remind you, everybody. Arsenal 0 Champions Leagues, Chelsea 2.
Yeah.
So until Arsenal have got that trophy with the big ears, they are certainly not London's biggest club. I can guarantee you that.
No, but I suppose historically, so. You were a Chelsea. You're one of the real Chelsea fans because you supported Chelsea from day one.
When we were terrible.
Pre-Roman Abramovich.
Pre-Roman Abramovich.
And so I suppose that for us, because Chelsea get thrown that they were never a big club, right? But our lifetime, Chelsea were always all right. Like my lifetime. They were never amazing.
No, but we were
always...
They
won an FA Cup. They were in a 94, 95, their FA Cup final against Man United, they lost.
That was a disaster, though. That was a day...
What was that, 5-2?
4-0.
4-0.
That was a day I'll never forget. I mean,
But they were always there, and then you had the VR, then you had kind of the Matthew Harding
It was
era.
It was after the 96-97 season, or sorry, I should say 96-97 was when we won the FA Cup. We beat Middlesbrough 2-0 in the final. Di Matteo scored that goal after like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then Eddie Newton scored.
Yeah.
Do you remember him back in the day?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Eddie Newton, the old defensive midfielder. So then he scored the second. And then we that was when Ruud Gullit came in after that and kind of changed it. Or no, Ruud Gullit won that trophy for us. And that was when everything kind of changed.
When did Ruud Gullit come in? 95, 96?
He came in, he came in as
a player?
Player manager, I think.
No,
he came in as a player and then came in as player.
Glenn Hoddle was the manager.
Correct. And then came in as the manager. When
he was a sweeper for Chelsea.
He was, but he was great.
Which is mad, isn't it? Because he was striker, midfielder, and then he went all the way back, didn't he?
Yeah, they gave him the number 4.
Yeah.
He was the number 4 for Chelsea. And then he obviously got the sack, and then they brought Vialli in, and then Vialli helped obviously bring a lot of the Italians in. And
Who brought Zola in?
That was Vialli.
That was Vialli.
Or was it?
Gullit?
It might have been Gullit, you know.
Yeah.
It might have been Gullit.
Who brought in Vialli and Zola?
Yes, because Vialli came in on a free from Juventus, and then Zola came in from Parma, I believe.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were just that whole thing with the Italians just it transformed Chelsea, and then
because I think you were the first people ever to field a
non-British 11.
Yeah,
I think it was against Southampton, if I remember, in like 1999 or something like that.
Something like that. It was, and you were called the Foreign Legion, weren't you?
Yeah. I do remember that.
Frank Leboeuf.
It was Ed de Goy. I think it was
Desailly.
Babiaro, Desailly, Frank Leboeuf, Albert Ferrer, Dan Petrescu.
Yeah.
Torre Andre Flo, Gianfranco Zola.
Who was the midfielder? Poyet.
Gus Poyet and Di Matteo and
Zola.
I mean, it was. I
good side that.
I loved that team. I mean, watching Chelsea.
Yellow and blue kit.
Yeah.
The yellow and blue away kit. It was like a real summer kit
with auto glass as well.
Oh, auto glass. Yeah, Kors was previous, wasn't it? Yeah.
Kors was when Gullit came and Hoddle was there, but then when Vialli was there, it was auto. It was
Commodore before that, wasn't it? Commodore Kors, then
auto
glass, wasn't it? Auto glass, yeah.
That was the Commodore days was when it was Mark Steen and John Spencer and all of those guys.
Julian Dick stamped on John Spencer's head.
Yeah.
I was at that game.
Yeah.
David Mellor.
Yeah.
Not our friend Dave Mellor. Dave Mellor MP come out and said that he should be banned for life and that he's an animal.
Funny.
It was live on Sky Sports. So I remember how it goes Upton Park. But the so we're digressing here. Back on the weekend, Premiership. Chelsea got a good win.
They certainly did. Nice win. Nice 4:30 wake up on Saturday to watch that. But it was a good game to be up for.
I've got to ask you actually. Sam lives in LA like me. How do you like watching football here compared to home?
Do you know what? I actually quite enjoy it.
Me too.
Because your whole day isn't consumed around. Although I did used to love a whole day consumed around football because it would be the lead up to it, nice lunch, couple of drinks, whatever, go to the game, get back, get ready, go out at night. Now, waking up early in the morning, obviously married now and like other responsibilities, and you just can't have the whole day off of football like we used to.
No.
So now that it's done, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was up at 4:30 watching the game on Saturday. I went back to bed at 6:30.
Yeah.
Then woke up at like 8:30, started my day and went out.
Yeah.
And your whole day of football's done. But the thing I do like is, for me, I have kind of like a weekend ritual. If I'm not working or if I'm not showing houses or whatever it might be, as soon as it gets to, 10:30 in the UK, so call it 2:30 in the afternoon here, Match of the Day is going on my TV.
Same as
and I just love it. Match of the Day in the afternoon, rather than having to wait
11 o'clock at night.
11 o'clock at night. So then not only have you managed to watch your team first thing in the morning, but you've now done Match of the Day, and now you've just got the rest of the day to do whatever you like.
I'm exactly the same. I think Match of the Day comes out about 3:30. Does it come out 2:30? 2. If you watch it live. So I watch it. I always watch it on record. So I know once it's been in UK, I've got a couple of hours or an hour or so, and it loads up. But I watched it. I got in from work last night because I was working Sunday here, but I was working yesterday. Got in. First thing I did, I came in, put Match of the Day on, watched the rest of the football.
100%.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
I love it. I absolutely love it. Just get home, make a nice cup of coffee, feet up, Match of the Day goes on, and
it's brilliant.
Thank you. Do you know what else I will say out here as well? Is if they don't have this in the UK because of obviously for television rights, but highlights on YouTube out here are also another level.
Yeah.
NBC will do, I think maybe
it's like 15 minutes, isn't it?
Correct. NBC will do anywhere between a 12 to 15 minute highlight of the game that goes up within about 3 minutes of the game finishing.
Yeah, it's really quick, isn't it?
So even though I, like yesterday, for example, Liverpool, played early in the morning, United played early. I didn't want to wait till Match of the Day till after my open house to go back and watch that. So you just go straight on YouTube, 15-minute highlights, and there you go. Yeah. And see it that way.
I suppose the other big news this week is I saw Gary Neville as... I actually watched it last night on the overlap. He questioned Rashford and Casemiro for going to the States during international break, watching a basketball game. Yeah. And he was asking the question. He was asking it to Scholesy, Wrighty, Keane, Jill, what they thought of it. And I think the difference is, and I suppose Roy and Thing said it, look, they're 14th in the league.
Yeah.
Was it the right message? Obviously, I would think they probably got it signed off from the club to go. Was it the right message to send to the manager?
No.
Both started yesterday. Mm-hmm. The answer is, I think if you're top of the league, no one questions it.
No, correct.
No one cares less. But I think you're 14th, and Roy's thing, Gary said we wouldn't have done it, and Roy actually responded with, we would never have fucking been 14th.
Yeah,
that's true. He went, we're completely different. He said his actual words were, I think someone would have got murdered.
Yeah.
He said, so that's the difference in mindset. Now, I think Rashford, especially, he's had a couple of good seasons, I think.
Yeah.
He's got potential, but I don't think he's ever going to reach that potential, do you?
No, I don't. I mean, I think Rashford, you just... Look, we never really know what goes on behind closed doors with a lot of these footballers.
Yeah.
And I think somebody like Rashford, unfortunately for him, just has... I mean, when you look at the pictures of him in the States and you look at him with all the hangers-on that are there, and you look at like when he had that whole issue when he went to Dublin last year and went on that big bender, I just think that, I don't know Marcus Rashford, but he could be quite easily influenced, and he seems to be getting influenced to do these stupid
Or maybe
things.
it's him doing the influencing.
You never know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know Marcus
So that was
Rashford.
something they discussed on the other
It could be
day.
him.
That's kind of just this generation of players.
Yeah.
They do it. We're okay, we're switching off, we're this. Whereas, like Gary and that said, and I'm sure this generation of players, like he said, we drank. We went in a pub and drank, which is also worse.
Of course. I mean, to be fair, but that was a lot different. The whole drinking culture was very different back then, but they also weren't on 350 grand a week.
Yeah.
And I would say when you're on that type of money, you've almost got a moral responsibility to... You've got a moral responsibility to your club who are paying you these fortunes, and... They knew they had a new manager coming in. They knew that the manager was going to want that kind of first game bounce, and they couldn't even beat a promoted championship side that have only won one game all season. I mean,
who have been pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, it's...
I've got to say, I watched Man United. They had a new shape.
Yeah.
Three at the back.
Yeah.
But you look and you're looking and going, okay, is the manager going to change this? Eriksen and Casemiro in the middle. That's two older players. Two players past their peaks.
Well, I expect...
Johnny Evans at 36.
Which is insane.
Centre-half.
Which is just insane.
Rashford, who's underperformed for years up top. He scored after 90 seconds.
But that was it. Didn't do anything else for the rest of the game.
No.
Yeah, no, Man United, for me, they are a sleeping giant. And it's because of the way that the club's been run over the years. I mean, you look at the way that they've chopped and changed the managers, and the money that they've spent, and the money that they've spent on absolute turkeys. I mean, like Anthony, for example. I mean,
does he even get near the team anymore?
He was on the bench yesterday.
He was.
But I mean, for me, like when you just think, like they spent 93 million quid on Anthony, who literally did one good thing, I think, in his first game against City. Who's gonna give you 25 million for him now?
No one.
Nobody.
No.
And that's in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I mean, you look at their number 9, Højlund. I think Højlund's a good player. I think Højlund has got a lot of potential, but he's just so injury prone.
And he's too young to have that on his shoulders, maybe, where he hasn't... Haaland's like young, for example, right? But he's been the man for quite a few years.
He did it in Germany. He did it in Austria. He does it for the Norwegian national team.
He's used to that now.
And he came into Man City. And I mean, look, anyone coming into Man City, if you're a striker and you've got Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden putting the ball right to your feet or your head and you can't put it away, then you're not good enough for that team.
You've got Eriksen and Casemiro.
Correct.
I think they've got bigger problems. I think what they've done, Rashford and Casemiro, by going away, they put talking points like this out there. I don't actually think Neville was saying it to throw him under the bus.
No.
And because he actually come out and apologised for it. I think he said it's like kind of, he didn't mean it to be like, because I don't actually think I think it's actually because he's Gary Neville saying it.
Yeah.
He's put a big cloud over the club before it starts. But now, if they'd have won 4-0, no one cares, right? It's finished. No one's even talking about it today. But now they haven't. There's a talking point of, does the manager do that? I was wondering if he was going to start him. And maybe, look, that's his thing now, that he can use this to actually say, you know what, you let me down, you had your go, unfortunate. See you later.
Yeah, I mean, they could well do.
I wonder if they'll get rid of any of these players. I don't think January you're going to get rid of them. I think it's because I think it's where they're going to go. These are underperforming.
Well, if you look at it, and if you look at the players that Amorim, because he plays a 3-4-3.
Yeah.
So he reminds me very much of Antonio Conte in that sense.
Yeah.
When you look at when Antonio Conte came into Chelsea, transformed it by just changing the shape, the formation of the team.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he done it after a few games, didn't he? It wasn't. He didn't do it to start, did he? And then there was that game you were playing. And he just, I can't think what it was. It was a big memorable game that you was it against
Arsenal.
Arsenal. I knew it was against bigger side.
We lost we were 3-0 down at half time against Arsenal. and he changed the tactics and switched to a back three.
Yeah.
And we actually played really well second half.
And then it stayed that way, didn't it?
Then it stayed that way.
Victor Moses was your right wing back that year, wasn't
correct. And Marcus Alonso was the left back.
Yeah.
And after they changed that in that Arsenal game, we went on, I think, like a 12 or 13 game winning streak. Yeah. And that was when, and then we won the league. I think we won until Man City broke our records that year. I think that was the first time a team had won 30 games in a season, out of 38 Premier League game season.
Yeah.
So that was pretty impressive. But going back to Man United and some of the players that they've got, I think if I was the Man United coach and I looked at that squad, the only players that I would probably keep from that team would be Onana. I don't even think I'd keep De Ligt. I would keep that Lenny Yoro to try and see how who he's completely...
Mazwari.
It's funny, Lenny Yoro's completely forgotten about.
Yeah, where he hasn't played a game yet, has he?
I was actually at that game at the SoFi Stadium.
Oh, really?
When he got injured. He looked good, and then he got injured after 20 minutes and broke his foot, and that was it. Mazraoui, he seems like that type.
Seems like okay, doesn't he?
He seems like a decent player. Ahmad, looks a good player. Garnacho,
I think Garnacho's a good player.
And
Fernandes. Yeah.
And that's really it.
I agree. I don't really see anything.
Mason Mount, what the hell's he done? I mean,
forget about him.
Two-time Chelsea Player of the Season, Champions League winner, disappeared off the face of the earth.
He's just been injured non-stop, hasn't he?
Non-stop with the injuries, and 65 mil they spent on him.
Yeah, so they've been unlucky because Mason Mount is a good player.
He is a good player on his day, but I mean, look,
he wasn't the player I don't think that Man United needed.
No.
They needed Declan Rice.
They 100% needed Declan Rice.
Yeah.
They needed
Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Because if you put Declan Rice, Harry Kane in that team, I do believe that team was
unbelievable. Unbelievable team.
Changes the mood, the goals.
Of course it does.
Rashford's not that main man. Hoyland's not that main man. So I think he's got a lot to work on.
He certainly does.
And I've got no moaning for West Ham because as we're recording this,
God.
we've got we're 2 hours away from kickoff here. So I'm waiting with bated breath at the minute with West Ham. I don't know whether to support them today. We're away at Newcastle, or hope we lose and get rid of the manager.
Do you know what? The form book and any normal fan looking at this from outside would say that you are in for an absolute pasting today.
Yeah.
Newcastle.
Because Newcastle have picked up a little bit, haven't they?
They picked up.
Isak scoring.
Correct. Isak scoring. Joe Linton's even chipping in with goals. Harvey Barnes is back from injury and he's been playing well. I mean, they've been bouncing back. Like, they didn't have the greatest start to the season, Newcastle, but now I think they've put 3 or 4 wins on the spin. They beat us. They beat... who did they last just beat? Was it Bournemouth? No. I
can't remember who it was.
I forget who they just last beat.
But they were on a bit of a slide.
Correct, they were on a slide.
But they had never had Isak as well. I'll tell you now, if he's fit, and he might be on the bench, Callum Wilson... I'm telling you now, put your house on him scoring.
Really?
Always scores against us.
Really?
Always. He's one of them strikers that
That's so funny.
He's got a hat-trick against us for Bournemouth once. He scores for Newcastle against us. He literally always scores against us.
Yeah, I can see. I mean, like, the form book would say that you are in for probably like a 3-0 drubbing today. But
I think
you never know.
What would be good.
You never know.
What I don't understand with West Ham is we could have got rid of this manager in the international break, given someone 2 weeks with the team, or a week, with the team, to then come in. Newcastle and Arsenal, what they're saying is that I think they don't want him to go and get tonked, but maybe a new manager actually wasn't going to get tonked.
But is it his fault or is it Tim Steiden's fault?
I think there's a bit of both.
Yeah. Because he's just been given, it's like, you know what I mean? You're given the tools. These are the tools that he was given to work with.
That's what I'd like to see, and I do think right now that's why you have to change manager. It's clearly not working. It's not going to work. We're not going to... And just if we get a draw against Newcastle, we can't say, oh, it's great, and then in 3 weeks' time we're going to miss someone else. And
that's true.
But what I'd like to see, I do think if we got a better manager in right now, I do think we can challenge, because I do think we've got a team.
The question is, who do you want in now?
Well, it looks like there's... No, it looks like Terzic, who was Borussia Dortmund. So he was our assistant manager under Bilic.
Yes, he was, wasn't he?
Same as Maresca.
Yes.
Was under Pellegrini.
Yeah.
So Terzic is looking like he's been sounded out.
Okay.
And it's a great West Ham move because he hasn't got a club. And then there's 2 others. I think I don't know their names. Stuttgart manager.
Okay.
And Benfica. I don't know. But the other 2 names, I have no idea.
No English names in the fray?
No. Potter doesn't seem to be in the frame.
I mean, Potter for me is like, you can understand why Potter hasn't worked these last couple of years, because he signed, what was it, a 5-year deal with Chelsea?
And he's been paid.
He's been getting paid probably 200 grand a week for the last how many years.
You know what I mean? Also, I just saw Leicester have been let go of Steve Cooper this week.
That was no surprise. David
Moyes could be the man.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, looking at Leicester's team, I don't think that's a terrible team they've got. I think David Moyes keeps them up.
I mean, the thing I would say about Leicester is their back five is awful.
But I think David Moyes make it better.
Maybe, because David Moyes is he is a good defensive coach, and he would improve them in that sense. But I do think that the way that Leicester played against Chelsea on Saturday, they made Chelsea look like prime Barcelona. Like we were, for that first half an hour, it was like a stroll in the park. I don't think I even saw Robert Sanchez on camera because we were that much in their half.
Yeah,
and it was
They're not. They are a championship team has come up, but.
Well, you say that. I mean, they were in the Premiership for a long time. They then had
won it.
Correct. They then had that shocker under Brendan Rodgers where they went down, where they got rid of Rodgers too late.
Yeah.
And they ended up going down, but then they bounced back up as champions first time round. So you kind of almost that could have been a blip, although it was with Maresca.
Maybe with Maresca they would have been better. Who knows? I think they need to change their style of play. And I think Moyes make them tough to beat.
Yeah.
Get down, and actually, I think we're going to then go on and do good things there. I think David Moyes is a great manager.
Well, Steve Cooper was always a contentious appointment there because obviously his links to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, and they don't like each other, Forest. And
they love him. That's the thing. They love him at Forest still.
Love him, yeah.
Love him at Forest for getting them back in the Prem, keeping them up. Did he keep them up twice or was it once?
Maybe twice. Once.
He kept them up once, and then they sacked him halfway through the season, and then brought Nuno in, didn't they?
That was it. And then he kept them up,
and then Nuno kept them up, correct. And then he went on to Leicester. I mean, Forester. I mean, they're probably one of the stories.
They lost this week, obviously, to Arsenal, but I think
and they lost the week before Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle. That was the one. That's the one we're missing. Yeah,
that was it. So Newcastle beat Forest away 3-1, and that was a decent result because Forest have been playing very well this year. I mean, they took points off of us. They took 3 points at Anfield.
Chris Wood has been unbelievable.
Got him in my fantasy league team.
Been unbelievable. Yeah. He came on. He didn't start the other day, did he? Because he'd been away with New Zealand. And which I think he scored a hat trick for New Zealand.
Did he?
I know he scored a couple. I'm pretty certain he scored a hat trick for New Zealand this week. But he's bang on form, and he's that big old centre forward that you don't really get anymore. So I like Forest fans actually. I've got a couple of mates in Australia, a few mates actually that are Forest fans, and I really got a soft spot for it because they were a huge club.
They were a mass 2 times Champions League winners. Yeah, they won it as many times as Chelsea, which is insane.
Twice more than Arsenal.
Yeah,
and West Ham. Let me tell you,
literally twice more than Arsenal, and even Aston Villa have got a Champions League trophy.
Yeah,
maybe not Champions League. Sorry, European Cup.
Cup, which is Champions League.
But even still, it's the trophy with the big ears, which is what every club wants. But
I think we're going to finish up here because we're actually going to record right now a second episode for everyone.
There we go.
We've got a question and answer. I asked everyone questions, so we're going to do that. But I'm going to finish up. It's been great. I'm going to have Sam again on that. So if you're listening, on Friday we're going to have a special episode, just question and answers from us. It's been great having you on. I think we may need to get you on more often.
Anytime you like, mate.
Lovely having you.
Anytime you like. Thanks for having me.
This is Football or Soccer. And we will see you soon.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.